But we'll go ahead and get it kicked off. My name is Cassandra Gundy. I'm a senior IT recruiter here at Capital One. Definitely really excited to be a part of this event. It's actually my second virtual event, so it's always a few hiccups involved when you're getting logged in. It's always a different platform, so it's like, is it user error or is it me? But yeah, definitely excited to kick it off. We'll just kind of go round robin with introductions, and then most definitely address questions as they filter in. But if I'll kind of start with the top left, I see here, if Monica, if you wanted to get started as far as intro, where you're located and what you're doing here at Capital One.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Monica. I am currently a TDP at Capital One. So that's the Technology Development Program. I graduated from college in May of 2019, and then I started working straight out in August 2019. So yeah, so I'm in the New York office. I'm part of the commercial bank, and I work on a risk rating platform for commercial loans.
Perfect. I love that intro. I love the TDP program, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of questions regarding our technology development program here at Capital One. So I do appreciate you sharing that, Monica. And I have volunteers who wants to go next.
I can go next because I work with Monica day to day. So I am from Manhattan office. We are part of commercial credit risk, and my team is responsible for taking care of the risk rating platform for our internal customers. I've been, oh, by the way, my name is Zeynep. I forgot the first part. I have been with Capital One for almost years in August, actually. And I'm a senior software developer, like I said before, with commercial credit risk.
Perfect. Thank you, and I appreciate that intro. And last but not least, and please correct me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Is it I'll just have you pronounce. Thank you. I'm like, I hate to butcher names, so I appreciate that.
Hello everyone, this is Sowmya. I'm based off of Richmond, and I am part of Shea Tech Risk account. I've been working with Team SMR, Security Metrics and Reporting. I've been with Capital One since 8 years. We are building a reporting refinery process where it will process all the metrics and then publish them to Snowflake and OneLake. And the actual deployment is sometime next month, so we are excited about it. And I've been part of Women in Technology since 2014, so I'm pretty excited about the journey too.
And thanks for sharing that, Sowmya. I would love to kick it off with kind of just a personal question. And I appreciate you sharing you've been involved with Women in Technology since 2014. Monica or Zeynep, do you want to share how long you've been involved with Women in Tech?
So this is like my first conference for for outside of like Capital One, so I'm pretty excited to be here, and I'm excited for future opportunities that I can do with Women in Tech. But this is my first one, so I'm still pretty much a newbie here.
Yeah, well, congratulations. I mean, definitely it's a great experience. It's a great way to network and get, definitely expand your network outside of Capital One. And there's tons of people joining. So definitely, well, congratulations and welcome to your first official event.
Yeah, this is so exciting to be here.
So I've been with Capital One for years, and Women in Tech is one of the reasons I joined to Capital One, actually. That was one of the decision points for me. And then I have been involved with all the events within last 3.5 years. And we used to always have some women in technology, women in coding events in Manhattan office. So this year we are missing out. I'm a little sad on that. But I'm excited about the digital platform also.
Yeah, no, it's definitely awesome to have the additional platform. And I personally think just being able to virtually touch other areas or parts of the world that we necessarily wouldn't see if we were just interacting face to face. So it's definitely a great opportunity. I would love to ask everyone how they're, since we're all respectively social distancing in our homes, how everyone is kind of digesting and working through the new norm as far as work-life balance and all the updates we're receiving as far as kind of stop-go with our quarantine lives.
So I can go first. I think as a part of Capital One, I can talk about my experience in terms of quarantine, how we are working during this time. I think we are really stepping up to challenge. Capital One provided all the opportunities for us to still be productive. So I'm very happy about that one. And also, normally I have a 4 hours commute every day. So that one is also eliminated. But at the same time, being home, even though that commute doesn't break the work and home environment, it is a little bit overwhelming, and at the same time not being distracted at home is a little harder. But still, overall, I think we are managing and we are getting the support we need. We're happy with the situation currently, so hopefully it will get better.
I can go next. So I'm pretty happy that Capital One is one of the first companies to provide work from home for all the employees, and also since my kids are out of school, I have two boys, 6 years old and 2 years old. So it's kind of tough to manage with kids at home, but we are making sure that we have some work-life balance, and also I have a great team. Since we have been working together as a team for the past 1 year, we did not find it very hard to perform our working from home sessions, and using all the technological advances that we have. I'm not seeing any difference between working from home and working in person in office, to be honest. I think it's a great opportunity, and I feel that Capital One is handling it very well.
Yep, so I agree with everything that Zeynep and Sowmya have mentioned, especially with the 4-hour commute that is gone for me as well, because I'm also, I live in New Jersey with my parents. So every day before the quarantine was like a 1.5 hour bus ride and then a nice half-hour walk from Port Authority to the office. So definitely a lot of time is saved during the work from home. And I feel like in my team, especially, like we're very flexible with our work hours. And we have the ability to be flexible. So I usually like to kind of leave work a little early if the weather is nice and walk my dog. And then maybe like I'll come back later and check and see how things are at work. But I really like the flexibility that Capital One offers to its employees.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. And it's definitely consistent across all lines of business. So I do appreciate everyone sharing that. Definitely the commute, not having the commute is nice. Not having the commute is nice, and having that work-life balance. But I think I can kind of echo what a couple people mentioned, is kind of knowing when to stop. Kind of just, setting that stop time for yourself, because it is really easy, although we are at home and we're working through this pandemic, that you can make yourself too available. So I think we all found that balance as far as essentially stopping, whether it be that walk or family time. I definitely was very guilty in the beginning as far as really just making myself a little too available and not having that stop point. So I'm happy it's all working out well for everyone. Now, Monica, a question for you. I know you mentioned the TDP Technology Development Program at Capital One. Did you want to highlight anything regarding the program at all?
Yeah, so Capital One CDP program is a 2-year rotational program. So you will spend like 1 year on one different team. But I think now for the conditions, my my rotation date has been pushed back to, I think, February 2019. So it's technically like a year and a half, but I'm happy about that. I'm happy to stay on my current team. And I've really enjoyed my experience so far as a TDP. I feel like I've learned so much from my teammates and from everyone else in Capital One in general. So yeah, if anyone has any questions regarding the TDP program, definitely I am available to answer. Yep.
And thank you for sharing that, Monica. It's really nice with the TDP program because it does open you up to various lines of business. But like you said, Monica, with your essentially rotation date being pushed back, I understand you're happy where you're at, but it's nice to know internally we're still operating as business as usual. Just a slight delay with your environment. But yeah, it's definitely exciting to hear that. I'll kind of open it up to the panel as far just kind of piggybacking off of the TDP program. If anybody would like to speak to kind of development opportunities within Capital One, albeit with the TDP program, yes, it is a rotational program and kind of a stepping stone within the company. But also outside of that, we definitely do focus on individual associates development. So I would love to open it up to the panel and have anyone speak to that.
So I can start. Every company has performance evaluation. Capital One steps up on that one, and we have also professional development as part of our performance evaluation or professional development. Like every end of year, we have the performance review, but before that, twice during that year, we can think about our professional development, make a plan, check with our leaders, managers, and then align with of course, the work we are doing. But if we are interested in other areas, we can somehow incorporate into our development plan and pursue during the year before we get to end of the year and end of the year checking. So it is part of the culture that Capital One invest in associates and provide all the possibilities, all the opportunities to do so. And also we are expected to live up to that expectation, meaning that we have to look in ourselves and see what are our interests, how we can improve. There is always a way to improve yourself, even though you might be an expert in one area. So we are giving the opportunities. We are provided resources. So it is also required that we take advantage of it. I think it will be really a good opportunity for us in any day.
Yeah, I agree with Zeynep, and I would like to add some more points to that. Capital One encourages everyone to invest in themselves. Like they recently started Invest in Yourself Day, where every Friday in the month, last Friday in the month, you'll have time to yourself, so that there are no external meetings set up with your customers or within the teams, and you can spend some time investing in yourself, like going through some of the technical stuff or trying to complete some online courses. And also Capital One provides a lot of training training details like Coursera, Cloud Academy, Safari Online. Like there are so many courses available online, and Kaplan encourages a lot to complete them and keep yourself updated. And also, I feel that the team provides a lot of time, like whatever team you're part of, they give you a lot of time to make sure you are spending enough time to complete your certifications. It's not like you have to spend some time out of your office hours. You can definitely block some time and then complete your certifications. It is highly encouraged, and I like that within the Kaplan culture that they encourage us to keep ourselves updated.
Hi, I joined a little late. Also, Capital One software engineer. I can answer a little bit. We're definitely encouraged to get, whatever you're interested in, like you're definitely encouraged to work on that. We are encouraged to get our AWS certification. We're given the time that we need to get it and resources to help us achieve that certification. There's a lot of internal training. We have things like innovation days, depending on the department. Sometimes it's like once a month, once a quarter, where you can have the whole day to just experiment with whatever new technology you want. And it's all definitely actively encouraged.
Yeah, I'll definitely speak from my role as a recruiter here at Capital One. It definitely is encouraged, even as far as filling internal roles. When I have internal associates reach out and just kind of, educating them about the internal process, providing them with additional resources, and definitely having those conversations about development. So I do echo with everyone. We do have the resources. We do have the encouragement for development. I think the biggest opportunity sometimes is you can be bombarded with so many resources, but I think Capital One, we do a great job at putting them all in one location where you can find them and kind of highlighting what resources or what resources that may be of interest to you. So I definitely do appreciate that here. I would love to open it up to the panel and just kind of ask what kind of influenced everyone or motivated everyone to kind of get into the IT space, women tech space.
I can go first. Mine is a little bit luck. Let me tell you, I'm from another country, and the way we choose our career or the school we go to, we take a entrance exam. And when I was I was really good at school, and people expected me to become a doctor, and I said no, thank you, I don't want to. I was really good at math and logic, and I didn't know anything about computers. One of my good friends said, let's go to college together. And he wanted to become a software engineer. So I said, okay, that requires math and logic and all that science background. I said, yep, I think I can do it without knowing anything about computers, without even touching the key of a computer. I joined in the engineering department. I went through the exams. I joined in the engineering department, and I fell in love with it the first year. So I got lucky. Since then, and also I was one of the few in the department as a female in the engineering. And then I came here for graduate, and then I was also within the few. So since then, I am very passionate about getting girls into the technology space, seeing the value of it. And I have a daughter goes to college. I'm trying to brainwash her, also getting into technology, but failing on that. But mine is by luck, but I'm very happy about it. Thank you.
Awesome story. Thank you for sharing.
I'll go next. I was actually in the environmental field, which I still am passionate about, but I think I started realizing as I was going through my undergrad, and I did the graduate program, but I was 4 classes away, and I had to stop for personal reasons, which I'm not going to get into. I realized I had like a year off while I was going through the process of why I didn't leave grad school, but I started doing some soul searching on the career opportunities I wanted to do. And then I had an opportunity to take a Cisco CCNA CCENT before it was changed over. But I started realizing as I was developing my expertise that I like the cloud engineering. I like the way that you can work things in the cloud. And I started realizing that IT was more of my passion. And that's where I'm coming from. And that's why I'm here today to talk to Capital One.
I can go next. I was really passionate. I'm really passionate about my career, and I started looking into the math and logic, and I like to debug issues and fix them. And I like whenever I'm in charge of, or whenever I'm the person who is deploying the things in production, and when I see that it actually works and I see the actual output, whenever I see the data is getting processed, and when I see the output, I feel so happy about it. It makes me so excited, and I feel that this is something which I did on my own, and it gives me a lot of pleasure. So I think that's what my motivation really is. Like, I'm happy that whatever I'm doing is I can see the output, and it is helping. It is helping a lot of people. By building this software, I'm able to help a lot of people with all the stuff that I'm working on. That is what is actually motivating me, Rikki.
Yeah, so I can go next. So actually, when I was little, I wanted to be a veterinarian because I loved animals. So actually, for like high school, I went to a marine biology and like environmental science high school. It's like kind of like a vocational school almost. But then there, I realized that I did not like biology at all. It was very, very, very hard, and like so much memorization of like all like the biological terms and stuff. So luckily in my high school there was a computer science, like intro to computer science course, which I took, and then I realized that computer science, like I just fell in love. And I realized like computer science is like everywhere that we go. Like it's technology is everywhere in today's world. And I just feel like I'm so proud to work on something that can potentially affect anyone's everyday life, basically. So that's why I joined the career that I am today.
And I'm very happy about it since I'm in the same team with her.
Thanks, Zeynep.
Yeah, not a very exciting story for me. I had no programming experience, but needed to fill a requirement in my first year of college. So I took an intro to computer science. Was still undecided for my major. And I was like, hey, this is very cool and something different from the other kinds of work that I've seen, the other classes that I'm taking. And I just decided to give it a try.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. And it's just amazing how everyone comes from somewhere else where you're kind of like, oh, I'll give it a try, or see what this holds. I mean, I'll just share mine. It's kind of wonky as being an IT recruiter. I mean, in college, I was pre-nursing and loved it, but I still just really wanted to connect with people outside of the hospital setting. So switched my major, really dove deep into HR. I have a passion for recruiting. I love connecting with people. I love hearing everyone's story. And very similar to Sowmya, I love to see the start to finish as far as the work and effort that I've put in to a process with connecting with various candidates and also various teams that I work with internally. So I think it's really interesting to say we all come from different walks of life as far as what brought us to IT. As far as any advice anyone would like to give as far as, I mean, if people are kind of switching their roles into IT or would love to dive deeper. Maybe they're not currently in a software engineer role, but they're kind of looking at those tech stacks. Any advice anyone would like to give regarding making that next step?
Informational interviewing. Talk to people before you take that next step. And that's what I did with the hardware side and the cloud side. So, and I realized that my passion is more about the cloud because you're connected throughout the world through this system, which I still can't explain. With routers, it's just virtual routers. And it's just, I love it.
So for me, the hackathons, the events like this, I think it is a great exposure, and also getting to know the companies, the expectations from different job families. And I can talk about Capital One. In Manhattan office, we have so many people from different backgrounds, and they come to technology. Eventually they realize it is their passion, and they walk through different paths to end up there. And I think putting yourself out there, following the events, joining hackathons, and going through the education, of course, nothing beats the education. So it is possible, and I would just suggest anybody and everybody, as the other panelists told, like, find your passion and go for it, and network.
I have not had to switch careers in my whatever I've been doing, but my suggestion is that if you would like to do something, do as much as research possible, because if you are interested in something, put some time and effort into it, learn as much as possible, talk to people about it, and then also maybe like Discovery Day or something, spend some time on it, and then experience what they're doing. Be that person for 1 day or 2 days, and then realize what's happening, and then see if you're feeling the same way after, before and after that experience. And if you really decide to do that, then I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think I just want to piggyback off of Sowmya's response there. I think really to find one's passion, you have to like kind of go out there and try everything that you may or may not want to do to actually find what you're passionate about. So I'd say, like, my advice is to just go ahead and do it if you're interested in it. And if you're not interested in it, hey, no big deal. You can just go back to what you were doing. But if you are interested in it, then like it's like a whole new world from there. So yeah.
I would just add, like, not to get discouraged because of what other people are telling you. Like, I've had so many friends who were interested in computer science, and they went to, let's say, a career fair or something, and the guy at the booth was like, well, are you good at math? And she's like, you know, I don't know. It's not my favorite thing, but I can do it. And he's like, well, you have to be really good at math in order to be able to do computer science. And I mean, while you need to have a basic understanding of math, and, you know, I don't think that it's like a requirement in order to be able to learn how to code. And so I guess my advice would be, like, don't let like these misconceptions kind of hold you back from going after it if it's what you want.
I just want to continue on that one. I think I agree. You don't have to be good at anything other than being curious and wanting to solve problems, because you can get good at whatever that passion you have. If you want to go for it, you will learn, you will improve. But if you are not into problem solving, computer science is not for you.
Definitely great advice. Definitely great. And I'd love to ask, what's the biggest challenge everyone's facing at the moment, whether that be work related or outside of work? I would love for everyone to share.
I think it is more on the personal level. I think we are doing really well with my, at least, team and my organization, work related. We are managing. But when it comes to quarantine and having kids at especially an 11-year-old wants their friends. That is the most challenging part, and for that reason, I went and got him a puppy. So training puppy is a big challenge this day for me. So it is more on the personal, trying to manage the kids' expectations during a quarantine.
Yeah, I agree on that. I can go next. I've been working. I've been part of this team since last year November, and it's a great team. Since we have started working together before all the working from home has started, so we did not have too much trouble transitioning into working from home to virtual connect. So everything is great. Since I have two young boys, 6 and 2 years old, it's kind of tough for me to manage my kids' school sessions as well as my work-life balance, and also trying to make sure all the cooking, cleaning, everything is done, as well as get my exercise on time. So that's where I find it challenging. I'm trying to manage.
I'll go next. I think right now I'm grateful for the time because I can take a walk outside every day and enjoy the fresh air. But also I had the time to update my skills, learning more about cloud. I didn't realize there were a lot of factors in learning about the cloud, and it's been an enjoyable experience. But I think it's just, I have the time now, I'm taking advantage of it.
Yes. Yes, yeah, definitely pre-quarantine, I definitely felt like it was a lot of moving pieces. Yeah. But yeah, being 100% remote, it's nice to be home, but we have our added associates with us, family and kids. So definitely just finding that balance. So it's been interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I can go next. So I think a challenge that working from home kind of presents is like kind of having like personal conversations with maybe people that you see around the office but don't get to see like from your video monitor at home, like maybe just walking around and talking to different people around the office. That's definitely a big challenge for me, but slowly resolving that by, you know, starting up Slack conversations with people maybe not on my team. And definitely like keeping in touch with friends too. That's been kind of hard because everyone just has their own schedules now. So yeah, keeping in touch with people, I think, is.
On the light touch, we have amazing coffee in Manhattan office. So just sharing coffee with people at the office, just that is the luxury. I realize I'm missing that human interaction and the coffee.
Yeah, I would agree. Personal connections, just like those like hallway conversations that we used to have in the office, missing out on those, being able to just pull up with somebody for coffee. It's definitely added some challenges, but in a way, I think it's been a really good thing because it's encouraged us to find other ways of managing. Like my team has a virtual coffee session every week. We set aside half an hour where we're all drinking coffee and talking together. And I think that like kind of helps resolve some of the awkwardness that can happen when you're all working from home. And what I'm hoping is that this will continue once we can go back into the office. We'll have a little bit more, you know, flexibility in that regard. We'll be more creative with how we communicate.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if it is true for everybody, but credit organization, they put blocks in our schedules for socialization. We have game days, game nights, and coffee time with leadership. And it has been interesting. They are finding interesting ways to keep us motivated, challenge, and stay connected.
Just to add.
And also not overwork. Like that is, I think that's another, like not the we don't get we don't get burnt.
Just to add to that, we have a virtual game break. That is, we have a 30-minute session every week, and then we we play remote, all the different games like designing t-shirts and selecting which one is the right one, and all kinds of games. It's been pretty interesting, like pictography stuff. Like you draw something and rest of the team will guess what the picture is. So it's exciting and interesting to see that everyone can be on the same platform and play, even though you're not in person in the same location.
Yeah, that's great to share. I think we're all doing that. And it's definitely great to have that visibility across various levels of leadership. Leaders who you don't necessarily connect with on a daily basis. So although we're just seeing them on video, it's nice to kind of take a inside peek into their office and kind of, say hi to their dog or their child that comes into frame on the video. So it is definitely nice to get that visibility. And definitely take a nice break throughout the day from work. So I would love to ask, as at Capital One, we all operate in an agile environment. So keeping that in mind, I would love to ask, do you remember a specific experience where you wished you may have done something differently? If so, would you change anything? And that keeping top of mind, we're all working in an agile environment, working in that team setting.
That's a tough question. I'm sure, for me, we make decisions based on what is available at that point. So based on that information, we do the best we can, and the outcome presents, and then we go back. That is the good thing about being an agile team, that since we work in small increments, it is easy to go back and fix it instead of becoming a huge impediment. So I'm sure we have moments that, I wish I did better or I did differently. But I think that is the good thing about being agile. We have those moments. We do the best we can based on the information available. We make decisions and move on. And then if it needs to go back and revisit it, we have the luxury, right? So I cannot think of any specific. I'm sure millions of them, but that is the reason I love agile.
I can just, I don't think I have a specific example like Zeynep was saying, but sometimes I feel that during the meetings, if I had known, known some kind of information about some questions that are being asked, maybe I would have been prepared more proactively. That's what I think. But otherwise, I don't have any specific examples on what I would have changed.
Speak in more general terms about like problems that can come up with not managing agile software delivery correctly. Like that is a problem, and it can affect, how our timelines work out, how our code is developed. And so I think just in general, like having that real understanding of how agile software delivery works and understanding not just the terms, but like the meaning behind it. There's this like concept of like doing agile and you're following the steps, but you don't really know the reasoning behind it. So it doesn't always work out right. Like I think when teams follow agile correctly, you can be prepared for anything.
I think when I was going through my career change, I realized that I had to update what I needed to learn from my previous career transition from the environmental field to the IT field. And I think for me was how to look at the career field that I was trained to do and how I would look at the IT field and the career that I was going to choose in cloud engineering, and how I would transfer those skills to IT and how I would learn from my past experiences to update what I was looking to my future career.
So this is my first job out of college, so I haven't really had experience with anything else other than Agile. But I'd say for our team right now, I think I really like the collaboration between the tech people and the product people on our team. I feel like if the like tech people needs more clarification on like a user story, then the product people will definitely work with us to get what we need and to get what's understood. So I really like that aspect of Agile. And yeah.
And I think creating stories in Jira and making sure the description of the story is in line with whatever the product owner or the team is expecting, I think that helps in resolving issues and also having misunderstandings or trying to deploy something which is not as expected. Something like that.
I think Meincke brought up a good point. As she mentioned, our team, very small team, which we are basically integrated with the product, and our team doesn't have it, but normally in credit we have designers that work with us. So take as a technologist, I have all the resources available to produce the right features, because the eyes on it in terms of the people who knows how it should be advise us, they work with us day to day, and then the designers bringing the user perspective to the products that we are working on. So it is a very efficient way to work.
That's great, and thanks for sharing. I'd love to get everyone's insight. Like, what's the most interesting trend that you're seeing in tech in 2020? I was going to blanket that and say just in 2020 and take out tech, but I thought I'd focus on tech. But yeah, what's the most interesting trend you all are seeing in tech in 2020?
Trend, I say.
I'm seeing a lot of interest in cybersecurity and also more interest in AWS certifications and latest languages, but mostly cybersecurity, I would say.
So for me, there is a more push toward the full stack development, meaning that we don't specialize in front and back end anymore. At least that is true for us. We are supposed to have a full understanding of the full software development cycle and having the basic skills to be jump into if needed in front end, if needed in back end, and seeing the product as a whole and working with the user perspective and bringing into the product that we are developing early on. That is one. In terms of technology, I think this year we are more on the cloud and security, as Sowmya mentioned, and along with it, the latest, fastest, best performing UI and backend technologies that and open source. I think that is another high interest right now, trying to see the open source going into our products, how we can take that readily available solutions and make use of in our technologies and products that we are developing.
I definitely agree with Zeynep's point about like we don't have like Java engineers and Android and developers. Like, we're just software engineers. We should be ready to pick up whatever comes our way. And so it's more about, there's more of a focus on understanding the concepts of programming and architecture and all that important stuff, rather than, okay, I know Java, I know Spring, I know Go, or any other language like that, any specific language.
Yep. Yeah, so I definitely agree with Zeynep, Sowmya, and Rikki there about cloud and full stack engineering and cybersecurity. I think another trend, I'm not sure if it's specifically a trend in 2020. It's just like kind of rising throughout the tech world right now, is definitely like machine learning and AI. I think it's big. People kind of want to dive into that because I like those two things can help predict basically the future, right? So, and we want to be prepared for that. And yeah, AI and machine learning definitely is still up there for top tech
Big
trends.
data, yeah.
That is
Big
very
data.
much required right now for predicting, and data is the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
Data is the money right now, the currency.
Yep.
So in terms of machine learning and AI being in this technology realm long enough, it has been around for a while, but it is exciting to see that the excitement around is rising recently, and the technology is making it possible to use it. It is more widely available now through the cloud. So the idea is around since 1950s, just the technology is making it come back. The whole idea is. So it is exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely. Excuse me. Yeah, it's definitely exciting to really see the transition with big data. I've been in the IT space about 7 years, but to kind of see it transform and kind of really take place and kind of transform and take its place on the cloud and see a variety of teams touching it is definitely exciting. And like you said, it is the currency right now, so it's definitely nice to see. So I know a lot of people, when I connect with them at events like this or just on networking platforms, people kind of question, well, why Capital One? Isn't it just a bank? And I would love for everyone to kind of share, like, what are the common misconceptions people have about a bank in IT? And how do you combat those misconceptions people have and communicate, well, albeit communicated effectively, essentially what you're doing and how it does tie into banking, but we're definitely focused on IT here.
So I can go first. The thing about I love is the first thing I hear when I say I work for Capital One. Oh, that is the credit card I love. That's the first credit card I have. So there's a good reputation as a whole, but starting with credit card, that is the first thing comes to mind. And then recently, because of our beautiful advertisement on TVs about banks and like new way of banking, people are realizing, oh, Capital One is also a bank. But when we go to like events like this, people have that conception, oh, Capital One is a bank. Actually, I think the technology VP, Rob Alexander, one time mentioned it when I first joined. He said, Capital One is a technology company which happens to be in financial services area. So we work for financial services, we create solutions for financial services, but we create those solutions through technology. And we own our solutions. I think that is one of the things. We provide the solutions, we own them, and we provide those solutions for our internal and external companies. And we try to change the banking for good. That is our mantra. And we are changing it through technology and owning it.
And just to add to that, I think Catlon is the first bank to go completely into cloud. So I think we are a completely true technology company, and we are getting rid of all the on-prem servers and all the services, and everything is being focused on cloud. That's the reason we are able to transition into working remote without having a lot of hassles or troubles. we were able to transition very quickly. I think that's one of the primary reasons where we are operating normally without having any hiccups or any major hiccups, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like I sometimes forget that we are a bank. We try to operate like a bank that a tech company would build, and I mean, I'm so focused in the tech, and it's all modern, and like we're using up to date technologies, modern microservices, all that kind of stuff. So when I talk to other friends at tech companies, I don't feel like we're the bank that's stuck in the past or whatever. I feel like we're really on par with the tech that the actual tech companies are using.
I think we have the advantage of being a young company and catching up on the right technology very early on.
Yeah, and I think that any misconception, any thoughts that I had going in, like, do I really want to work for a bank? Do I want to work for a financial company? That was resolved very quickly the moment I saw how we operate and the good practices that we're implementing. I feel like I'm doing something good and worthwhile, as in addition to the fact that I need a job. I'm proud to work for Capital One.
Sorry, I was in both the expo room and this room at the same time, but no one was talking in the expo room, so I didn't realize until they started talking in the expo room. So I kind of missed the first half of the question, but I think I got the gist of it. It's working for Cap One as a bank.
I can repeat it for you, Monica.
Does it feel like a bank or something?
The panel, how do you tackle or address misconceptions people may have by working for a bank? Although we really do, our driving force is IT, our IT roles.
Right. Okay. Yeah, honestly, like Rikki said, I forget we're working for a bank half the time, because the technologies that at least my team, and I'm sure all the teams are using, are the top-notch technologies that are out there today. We're working on these Python microservices right now, which I feel is very relevant and can be used for any sector, not just the bank. So yeah, technology is used everywhere, and we're just happening to use it for banking purposes, I guess.
That's great. And I feel like we do a good job of kind of shutting down the naysayers when they say, isn't it just a bank? And I would love to get anyone's take on how can we continue to advance. I personally think Capital One does a great job with our digital footprint, our marketing footprint, as well as educating individuals what we're doing in the IT space. But if anyone can share any insight on how you can think we can personally advance in the IT space, that'd be great.
Our move to the cloud is obviously a very big one, and recognizing that because we had it on. We had on-prem services for that, but recognizing that sometimes it's better to leverage what's out there. And AWS has so much support and so many engineers working on it. So we let them deal with that, and we do the stuff that we're good at. So I think finding those opportunities where we can leverage really good technology that's out there, as opposed to just rebuilding it ourselves, is a big one.
So for me, for the last 4 years, I've been Capital One. We went through a couple of transitions, one of them being the AWS. and then the second one being the data transformation, and then the security. For me, I think we make sure that we implement it and the foundation. Right now, as we talked about how data being the currency right now, so we have the foundation, we have the data. The next step is we make the data available for our associates to build better software on top of it. So that is the next step. So we have the security setup, we have the data setup, and everything on the AWS. Now, the next step is to make sure we use that data and we make contributions to our products and our solutions using the data. So making the decisions, informed decisions using the data made available through technology. That's the next step for me.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel that even though we are called as a bank, we have one of the advanced technologies like we were discussing earlier. And I see that most of my former colleagues, they have been working on some of the previous technologies, and Kaplan has been so advanced, and we keep updating ourselves. If we can invest more on AI and machine learning, I think that would help us a lot, because I feel that everything is being focused on AI, machine learning, and predicting what happens next with all the data that we have.
Yep, I agree with everything that was just said. Definitely using the data that Capital One has to make more informed decisions about what we can do in the future is definitely up there for me.
And also another thing is, since we are basically financial institute, our customers trust their data with us. We day to day we deal with private data, so that is the reason we have the data and we secure it, and then we make use of it to make sure we do informed decisions and use those decisions toward the better products to make our customers' life better and easier. And I think that is one of the things that I fell in love with Capital One technology, that we are customer focused, and we always try to do the right thing. And one of them is protecting the customer's privacy, not only just using the data, but using in an ethical way.
Yeah, I feel that Kaplan's do the right thing motto is being shared with all the Kaplan associates and employees and customers. I feel that that's one of the huge things that Kaplan promotes a lot, and also follows that very diligently.
That is one of our cultural competencies. We are basically measured against very high bar on that as a Capital One associate.
So at Capital One, I know we're really focused on building strategic and strong relationships. What advice would you give those who are looking to, one, build those relationships, and then also identify allies as we are in the tech space and as we are women in tech?
So I can go first. So I feel that building relationships is a time taking, and it's a long process. So you would have to spend some time with the people and understand their requirements, understand their needs, and also make sure you communicate properly. If you have effective communication, and if you're being truthful about what you're saying, and also spending some time on it, you can build beautiful relationships, and that will help. Help you build your career properly, and also make strategic decisions, which will help you in the long term. I've been experiencing that, and I think that's one of the major steps that you can take, which will help your career in a tremendous way.
I want to add to that one. So basically, as a technologist, most of the time we see ourselves sitting in front of the computer and being in a bubble. But that is not the reality, especially not the reality in Capital One, because to be able to really produce the best products, you have to communicate, you have to cooperate, and it is not one team's work. For example, I'm giving credit an example because that is what I am exposed to. So we have 40 teams working toward the landing platform. So that requires interacting with each other, knowing what others are doing, and collaborating. That is also required. So since soft skills also part of the technology today's world, just don't stay in your bubble. Go to events, go talk to people. And in terms of networking, it takes time. But if you create meaningful relationship, it will always help you, your career, as well as being more productive. So we have to break that old geek image of technology. That's more than that.
I think you can go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm actually really glad you asked that question because I'm just starting out in my career myself. And so I've noticed at Capital One, communication is definitely key almost. So I have one of my weaknesses, I guess, is my communication skills. And at Capital One, I've been given so much opportunity just to try and improve my communication. And I think I'm getting better, hopefully. But yeah, joining conferences like these, I feel like before I joined Capital One, I would have never considered going to a conference like this and speaking at it. But this is honestly an amazing experience, and I'm so glad to be part of it today.
That's another thing. Go for it, and we don't see weaknesses. We try to elevate each other. So I think that is also another Capital One culture, part of Capital One culture, which I love. So we don't ridicule each other. On the contrary, we try to elevate each other. It is one of those skills that we have to have, communication. And you just get better by trying, by practicing, making mistake. And another thing is you fail fast. That is, we are always told. You fail first. If you don't try, you don't fail. But if you don't try, you don't improve either. So fail fast and move forward.
I agree on that. And I think Capital One's culture of helping each other is one of the primary things. And also, it's not called as a weakness. I think it's called as an opportunity where you are learning and updating and improving yourself. Yes. So that's how we are supposed to be. And that's what I love about Capital One.
Kind of as a separate point, one of the great things about working for a really large company like Capital One is that there are just so many people. There's so many opportunities for relationships, connections you can make. You can find something very small in common with somebody else and have that grow your relationship. One of the best things that I have at Capital One is relationships with a few of my mentors, and they've really helped me in my career. And so advice I would give on building relationships would be definitely find at least one or two mentors, somebody to help you along your career. And I think it's important not to just kind of expect them to give, you want something out of this, you're approaching them, be persistent, follow through, don't message them every day about everything, but you want to find somebody who's ideally a few levels above you, and they're not going to necessarily find time on your calendar. You put time on their calendar, you chase them down, you say, I really like your style of work, whatever it is that you admire in that person that makes you want to have them as a mentor. Keep up being persistent and try to develop that relationship.
Yep, I agree. And I completely agree to what Rikki has been saying. And it helped me a lot since I started having mentors. Like you can have multiple mentors, like one person only to support you through the technical journey, and one person only to support you through the career growth. So you can have multiple mentors, and it'll always help you a lot. Just express your expectations and whatever that is you're looking what to get out of them. Make sure you communicate effectively, and I think it will help you a lot.
Great insight, everyone. I couldn't agree more, and definitely it's just echoing across the board that you're definitely in charge of your development. We do have an open door policy here at Capital One. You are able to reach out to anyone you'd like to set some time up with. So it's definitely great to hear that across the panel. So I do love hearing that. And I know sometimes it can be a bit intimidating, reaching out, but Rikki, you highlighted that perfectly, just saying like, hey, I really like what you're doing, this, and kind of highlighting those strengths, and that may be your opportunity. So that's why you're definitely reaching out to that mentor, or to establish that mentor relationship. So I just love that. I know a lot of us have to kind of be an advocate for change, whether it be a process or something new that we are taking on in our roles. What has helped you be more an effective advocate? Or what advice would you have for others who want to be an advocate?
Cassandra, just to clarify on the question, so when you say advocate for change, like, can you give us more details on that? Like,
yeah, advocate for change, as far as it could be implementing a new process on your team. You may have networked with a candidate who may be a great fit for your team, but you're necessarily advocating for that person's skill set and their background. So it could be a process or a connection that you've made.
So I can talk about it a little bit. Basically, the products we are working on recently is mostly like developed 5-6 years ago. And at that time, it was used some vendors to develop. So now we are taking ownership, and we are looking at our product very closely and seeing how we can improve not only the technology but also the processes through the experience, because day to day this platform give services to certain people in Capital One to make very important decisions for commercial lending. If they are having difficulty and not able to perform their work because they cannot rely on the platform that we support. So day to day, we are nitpicking everything from technology and processes, and as well as the new talents who can bring new ideas into the team or the line of business that we are in. So the improvements is part of day-to-day our job. So we look at everything, including our platform that we are supporting, including the skill sets we need to make those changes and improvements, as well as the new ideas, wherever it comes from. So that is our day-to-day life. So we are not only advocating it, we are living it in summary.
I see kind of 3 parts to advocating for something that you want. You got to start with the passion behind it. Like, why do you want to advocate for this certain change that you want to implement? The research and the knowledge, you might have a good idea, but if you don't have the knowledge to back it up, it's not going to go very far. So do your research. And the third part would probably be the follow through. You might have had a lot of passion for something that you want to change and a really good knowledge base for what you want to change, but if you're not going to do that follow through and make sure that your change happens, then it might just be a waste. So I think it's really like those three together is what I've seen effectively work when you want to advocate for some kind of change. You want to implement a new technology. You have you saw this new plugin that you think might save a lot of time and it works really well, something like that. So, you know, you're passionate about it, you have the knowledge, the reasons why you think it's going to work, and then you follow through. You ask people, can we do this? Can we implement this change? And you don't let it go unless, you know, it either gets done or...
And that change has to be... And that change has to be meaningful. It is not just because we want to make that change. It has to have a business value. It has to make somebody's life better, especially our customers. Or the way we work.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I agree with... No, I was just saying I agree with Rikki because I had a similar experience in during 2018 year end. I was working on a specific project and I've been told to implement a few changes in specific using specific software, but I wanted to use everything in Python, and then I've convinced my team saying that this is how it is supposed to be because it helps us when we migrate everything to cloud, and they were very happy with it. Once I did it, they see that it has been working even after the migration has happened to cloud from on-prem, and I got great feedback during that transition, and I felt that it was a change which helped us, which helped the team with the transition. And change is always good. It's an uncomfortable in the first few days, but I think change is always good, and be willing and be ready to adapt to all the changes. And I think Kaplan is very big on change, and you keep changing teams, you keep changing managers, and you keep changing the people you interact with. I think that helps you be on your toes and challenging yourself, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I really like Rikki's 3 points there: the passion, and then the research, and then the implementation of change. And I feel like at Capital One, everyone is definitely really receptive of your opinion. Like if you think something should be done the way that you think it should be done, then everyone will listen, and then we can like have a discussion about it. It's not just like you suggest it and no one listens to you. Definitely like everyone is really receptive of everyone's opinion. So if you have something that you want to do, you just have to say, like, you bring it up, mention it, speak up about it.
No, it's definitely amazing. And yeah, I agree. You know, sometimes change can be a little hard and challenging, but at Capital One, we definitely do love our processes, but most definitely there's always research behind it. You know, going back to Rikki's 3 points, you always have something to back it. So yeah, change is definitely always a great thing. I would love for everyone to kind of open up to share what's currently inspiring you in your current role here at Capital One.
I can go. So actually my team is inspiring me to kind of do better and learn a lot of stuff. Like especially Zeynep, she's been such a great resource for me on my team. Like I can ask her anything and she'll respond, and we can have like a conversation about it. And I just appreciated that so much. So thank you, Zeynep. And like also like on my team, I have 3 other TDPs with me. And so we have like a great time. We kind of just, you know, ask each other questions about anything, and it's good. It's nice to have that kind of support group behind me, which is kind of like my inspiration as well, because I learned so much from them.
Yeah, I agree to what Monica has been saying. I feel that a great team is one of the primary factors that inspires you a lot. I have a great team too, and I've been working with them since last November, as I've been saying. And we just started working on building a refinery process on cloud, everything on cloud. And I like the way we interact with each other, and then the way we share and communicate all the details without having to ask like multiple times. And it's been very inspiring, and we are almost ready to deploy our changes into production, and that's very exciting and inspirational because this has been something which we are trying to do for risk metrics. So I feel that this is going to have a huge impact on what we are doing right now.
So for me, the relationships inspire me. The work, the challenges day to day inspires me. The way we work inspires me. And I've been like this August, it will be my 4th year. And I look forward to the work day each morning and getting to the stand up and sharing my opinions, listening, new ideas. So I think work is the work we do is inspire me. At the end, we do a really good job, and we provide business value, and we provide value to Capital One. That also inspires me. Seeing the actual results of my work inspires me, and for that reason, I'm looking forward every day to start to the day and start my contributions to my current team.
Yeah, the work and the technology that I'm currently has definitely been a good source of inspiration these last few months. The work that I'm currently doing is a response to, in response to some things that have been happening in the world, coronavirus specifically. So I feel like that one part is that I'm helping in some way, this global catastrophe happens and you want to feel like you're doing something, you want to feel like you're helping somebody. And so then the work that we're doing addresses that. And we also get to use really great technology to solve those problems.
And to add to that, I feel that problem solving is my most inspirational factor. Like if you see a problem, you start working on it, you resolve it, and then you get immediate appreciation for that, saying that, and you also get recognition saying that, okay, Sowmya has solved this problem, and it's inspirational to others to see how well we can solve it. And I like the way the team responds if you solve something, and the team reaches out to you if they need anything, or reach out to you if you need anything. So I like the way I like the teamwork within Capital.
That's great, and I appreciate everyone sharing that. As we all communicate on our teams with varying levels of leadership here at Capital One, I would love for everyone to kind of, if you're open to answering it, kind of share how it's going with communicating with your leaders at Capital One. It sounds like, Monica, you work closely with Zeynep, but yeah, how is it with operating in a pandemic, like communicating with your leader going?
I can go first. I would say that it's been going well. So we have monthly check-ins with our leadership team, and also we have frequent check-ins with them to see if we have any questions and provide us with the updates, what's happening, and see if we have any concerns. I feel that during this pandemic, leadership team is making every effort possible to keep in touch with us, and also gather our concerns and see if there is any way they can help us out, if we have any special requirements or special arrangements that have to be made to make sure we do our day-to-day work without having to face major issues or problems. I really appreciate all the time and effort they're spending in making sure every associate is comfortable with whatever they're doing.
So our leadership is going way there, going even what is expected of them, even beyond that one. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. Every day we have check-ins. They are sending regular communications. We have whole hands scheduled questions, answer sessions. Even they're dropping into the social events and make sure we are okay, not only physically but emotionally, and they are very invested in our well-being. So I think we have amazing support work. So I applaud them for their efforts and everything they are doing. We were the first one to get out of office and being given the flexibility to work from home. And since then, everything is being provided, making sure we do our jobs, but first we take care of ourselves. So that opportunities and that is being worded to us, and it is, I really appreciate it. I feel valued and taken care of.
Yep, same for me, really. So I'll have like weekly check-ins with my manager, like just weekly 1010s. And those, like, every time he asks me, like, how's my home life? Am I doing well? Like, am I doing well mentally, physically? And like, I feel like they really care about our, like, Capital One really cares about our well-being, physically and mentally. And definitely, like, he's told me if I need like a break, definitely don't hesitate to take time off. So that's also really, really kind of him too. So it's, leadership is definitely embracing the situation that we're in and also working to make sure that all of their associates are kind of comfortable and healthy.
When we first started working from home, I was kind of in between, our team was kind of in between projects. So I was a little worried that like working from home would kind of slow down our next project, but I've actually been working on one of my favorite projects since I've started at Capital One right now. That's like a direct result of my manager advocating for me to do certain things, to be eligible to do certain work. Like he encouraged me to be like the technical lead for this project that we're working on. And like, I really haven't seen a slowdown in the work that I'm doing. If anything, like, I think I've gotten a better opportunity now than I might have before, so.
And that's great. I couldn't agree more. I think our leaders, and I think just even our colleagues and our teams, we're all ensuring and we're kind of all doing that pulse check and just checking in with each other. So that's the biggest thing. And I just want to say kudos to the panel. We're getting great feedback in the chat regarding the discussion. So I definitely do appreciate that. Rikki, I would love for you to kind of elaborate on what you're currently working on, what project you're currently working on here at Capital One.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how specific and detailed I can get, but it is a result of some of the call centers being closed because of all the precautions different countries are taking to stop the spread of coronavirus. So it's kind of automating a process that some of the agents have been doing, and so I've been there from the ground up, like, you know, solving all the problems with how do we make the connections that we need, what is the best technology we can use, and like, can we use automation for this? Are we using microservices? So there's just been a lot that went into it, and I've been able to like kind of be at the head of that and lead where it's going and kind of drive a lot of best practices into starting this work and to making sure that we're focused on what's best for our customers.
That's awesome. And it always comes full circle back to our Capital One customers. So I definitely think that's the biggest highlight and number one reason why I work for Capital One. So I definitely do love it. Monica, as you are in the TDP program, can you highlight what you're currently working on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So my team right now, as Zeynep has mentioned, where all the development that has been done in the past 5 to 6 years has been done on like a vendor platform, which is kind of slowly going. It's kind of very old, almost. Yeah, yeah. So right now, my main focus has been to kind of build up a new pipeline almost using Python microservices to deliver the calculations that are needed to do the risk ratings on these commercial loans. So honestly, like working with these like Python microservices and all the technology that's needed in those is like, it's been like a learning experience. Like I feel like I'm a sponge and I'm just soaking up everything that's going on right now. And it's been fun. It's been fun, definitely.
That's awesome. And Sowmya, Zeynep, did you want to share, highlight anything that your team is currently working on?
I think Monica summarized really well. We support risk rating platform for commercial loans, and it is a fairly old technology, especially with everything we went through with the cloud. So everything is running on cloud, but day to day it is dying. So we are going through modernization efforts. But the challenges are, since this platform is being used, we cannot just take the plug out and then introduce a new product. So we are going day by day, looking at all the features and trying to modernize them and bring it to the latest and newest, whatever the best technology available to provide the better solutions for our customers, which happens to be relation managers as well as the underwriters for us. So that is the challenge we have. We have the privacy issue we are tackling with. We have the customer information. We have to produce those big data that require for them to do better decisions on these loans. So basically, we are helping Capital One take risk, make money on risk, but taking the risk in an informed way. So that is the platform and challenges we are working on.
So just to give you on the project that I've been working on, so I'm part of Cyber Event Technology Program. We are building a risk refinery process, which will process all the security metrics data and publish it to Snowflake and OneLake. This is like a reporting dashboard, which is used by the leadership team to decide, to look at all the vulnerabilities in the data and in the metrics, and then decide which one we have, which is highly critical, and also which one we can work on right away and which have to be fixed right away. That is what I've been working on for the past 1 year.
And thanks for sharing. And I know we have a variety of tenure on the panel. So I would love to hear how has either or the tech space or Capital One changed in the last, I'll say 3 years.
I think two of us can answer that one. Okay, I will answer for Monica. How about that? I've been, okay.
Thank you.
I have been with Capital One almost 4 years, so it is a little close to 4 years. So when I first joined, we went through the agile transformation. After that, we went through the cloud transformation. After that, we went through the data transformation. And now we are going through the security. And I think as our founder always says, we went through all the steps. Now we have to pass the valley. Valley being that now we have everything under our belts. So what are we going to do with it? So that is the challenge I love, because everything we went through so far to get the Capital One to this level, it speaks for itself. During this quarantine, we can work from home and everything goes as it's supposed to. Like we have very less challenges during this time in terms of work. And now it is time to pass that valley, meaning that what are we going to do? We have the technology, we have the data, everything we worked through to get to this point. Now we have to make something really useful and make it useful for our customers. So I think that is the challenge I'm looking forward to, and I'm enjoying at the same time.
I can provide some details on that. I've started working for Capital One since 2012, and it's been a great journey. So initially when I started, everything was on on-prem servers. So we used to build applications on. I used to be a data warehousing engineer. I was working on ETL software, ab initio, and then everything started migrating slowly to big data, Hadoop, and then the migration to cloud has started. So I would say we have spent significant amount of time, at least 4 or 5 years, migrating every software and every application onto cloud, and we have been very successful at that. And that's the reason, as Zeynep was saying, the working remote has been a smooth transition for us from working in office to working remotely. We are doing a great job at that. And I think we have come a long way from where I've been
at Capital One just a little over 3 years, so I guess I just make it in that timeline there. And like we, like Sowmya and Zeynep have mentioned, like we've had these big journeys and these big things that we've that we've accomplished and set out to accomplish. And I think like, we've remained, I maybe had a little bit of skepticism at first, like, are we really going to completely move everything to the cloud? I mean, I know we're a tech company, but we still have all this financial stuff. There's all the legal ramifications to everything. But like, what Capital One has done is maintain consistency and has worked to really accomplish all those goals. And I've seen them like one by one. We set out to accomplish something really big, and I've seen it followed through, and I've seen that, we have done those things. And so I think whatever crazy thing comes up next, like I'm pretty confident we'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I definitely echo that, Rikki. I feel like we internally, we have strong associates, strong resources, and most definitely, I think when any of our teams puts their mind to something, we definitely know how to execute things and tap the right people on the shoulder to include them. So I really do echo that. Any additional insight you all would like to share regarding Capital One, our company culture, any of our business resource groups that you may be a part of besides Women in Tech?
I've been part of Asian Business Resource Group, and I love Capital One's work culture where you can maintain work-life balance, and also Capital One encourages to maintain good physical health and emotional stability, and also we spend a lot of time on continuous learning. That's one of the great motivations for me. Like I can learn a lot and then implement whatever I've learned into my day-to-day activities. I feel that that's one of the greatest cultures Capital One has had for since a long time.
I think Capital One invest in social activities a lot, cultures outside the Capital One. So there's a volunteer events. This year, of course, it is less, but still through the digital, we are still continuing to do so. That is another thing I love about working for Capital One. We volunteer, we basically make contributions to our communities, and if we are really passionate about a cause, Capital One supports. You should be able to get people around you to work toward that cause. So volunteerism is another one I really enjoy, and the diversity. And there's a big investment to diversity in workspace. So I think that is also paying in the long run. And I see more and more different people from different backgrounds, different education coming and bringing their own unique experiences to the workday. It is making it a unique experience, I think.
I definitely want to emphasize the volunteering aspects at Capital One.
Go ahead.
They give us time, they encourage us. I've done things like pick cabbage on a community farm, and I've gone Maymont Park here in Richmond. I've gone into the Japanese garden there in the full suit thing and swept out the algae from the pond. Like, some really interesting volunteer.
That's awesome.
Wow.
The local community.
Yeah.
Coders is a great program here. Where we help young kids learn how to code. I've done that a few times. It's been really rewarding, and I love the volunteering events that we have.
Yes. I volunteer a couple of times for homeless kids, women shelters. So it is very rewarding. And also I time in my time spent there, and then Capital One pays for whatever the charity I choose. So it is like win-win situation, and it is still part of my workday. So it is amazing how we give back to the community.
Yeah, even I've been a volunteer, and then I was able to participate in Dr. Seuss Day, where I was reading storybooks at schools, and also I've been volunteering for the meetup programs where I can interview and help students be prepared for their next set of interviews. It's been very exciting about that, and I've also participated in a lot of volunteering activities. I don't exactly remember all of them, but I love giving back to the community.
Yeah, just to touch on all of your points there, like I really, really like the way how Capital One gives back to our community with all the volunteering events. And then I had the opportunity to join one of our coder sessions last fall, and it was so fun to just teach middle schoolers how to code. And then like the students who I taught, like it was so fun to see like kind of the delight and excitement on their face as they got their apps working, and then during their final presentation when they could present their apps and all of that, it was just so rewarding to see. So I really appreciate how Capital One gives back.
Yeah, it's definitely great to see that Capital One gives back to the community, and definitely great to see. I personally sit in McLean, Virginia, in our McLean, Virginia office, and we often host a variety of events, which are co-events with neighboring companies who work like in the same area that we do. But with those events, I feel like we touch various levels of people who are just starting out, who need interview prep or need that coding prep and so forth. So I think it's really, really, really inspiring to see, and really refreshing to see us communicating and connecting with people at all levels. So I do love that type of outreach. We're kind of wrapping up here, but I would love to see kind of a question here. One moment. What advice would you give an individual who is constantly an individual who's having a hard time moving into the tech space?
Don't give up. Don't give up. That is the shortest answer, but the longest answer, attending events like this, attending networking events, paying attention to technology, reading, practicing, getting your coding skills polished, and participating in like the discussions, Stack Flow, or posting on GitHub, even the participating in open source development. I think that is one of the things. If you have an opportunity, bootcamp might boost the skill set. So, but I would definitely say don't give up.
I think that's the right advice. And if you can spend some time and effort on any task that you want to pursue, I think you can definitely achieve it. All you have to do is you spend time and effort on it, like keep reading materials online, just not some course that you're planning to do. Read as much as possible, understand as much as possible, and do research, and also put every, be committed to what you're planning to do, and then you'll definitely achieve it. That's what I think I've been doing all these years.
Yeah, definitely not giving up. Yeah, I can definitely piggyback off of saying getting on GitHub, Stack Overflow, LinkedIn, attending meetup events. If Capital One, if we're represented, I know sometimes some events may be hard to get to, but most definitely just dropping that line to a recruiter like myself, and just letting one of us know that, hey, you're unable to make it, but you're still interested in opportunities that we may have, and just kind of keeping top of mind that everything doesn't happen overnight. Most definitely building those networking relationships does take time, but they do definitely pay off in the end.
And having passion and having a project under your belt, even if it's outside work related, and being able to talk about in 2 minutes to get people's attention to what you want to achieve, those are all the, I think, required skills. Sometimes we might be very good at developing, but if you cannot communicate what you do, people won't know. You have to be able to somehow sell the ideas, represent your brand. That is what I would just
and also
summarize.
To add to that, you may not see the results right away. Like you did something and you may not see the results. Keep doing it. You will definitely see the results in long term. You may not see them like right away in short term.
Yeah, as someone who's probably applied to more than 50 jobs before I got here, sending out applications and trying to get interviews can be a very discouraging process. I totally understand that. But I mean, I'm here today, and I'm confident that anyone else who puts in that work, and you apply to something that is not exactly what you want, but just to get your first foot in the door, and then move up from there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I applied to Capital One 12 times. I wanted to work for Capital One, so I applied 12 times and I interviewed twice. Here I am.
Wow, that's very inspiring. Then.
Yeah.
Thank you that you're here, Zeynep.
Thank you.
Honestly, without you, I don't know how I'd survive on the team today.
I'm sure
but,
you would.
You know.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, I think my advice would just be if you have a passion or something in the computer science field that you're passionate about, I'd say just get started. There are a lot of the good thing about the technology that we have today is there are a lot of resources that are out there. People if you want to do something, people will probably have done that something before, so you could definitely look to them as a resource. So yeah. I'd say just get started doing your passion. I think that's the easiest way.
I know this is there might be some people listening to us. They might also have gap in their career, or they are transitioning from one field to another. Take my example. I had to take 7 years gap because of some personal situation. And it took me some time. That's the reason I applied 12 times for Capital One. When I was coming back, I had the similar experience, similar difficulties. Even though I have the education, even though I had the previous experiences, you are in technology space. You have to be current. You have to keep going, right? So I had to face those. But at the end, when you are persistent, like I said, I look at the companies out there. When I was coming back, I said I chose 3 companies. Capital One was top. That's the reason I keep knocking, and eventually I got in, and I'm very happy about it. So don't give up. It is always possible.
It's important to about and not be embarrassed about the failures that you've had. Any successful person you see didn't just get there by accident. It didn't just happen very easily for them. for myself, my first year out of college, I could not find a job. I had student debt, you know, like, and I'm sure a lot of people are in that situation. And it's okay to talk about, especially this year. Yeah, it's going to be really hard for the graduating class this year. Like, it's important to be open and honest about what's happening and to not feel embarrassed or to think that you're not good enough.
Nothing to be embarrassed about. So I was told you will get a million of rejection. All it takes one yes. So I think that's a valid advice.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Zeynep, thank you so much for being just really sharing that. And it's so insightful to say, yes, it does take just one yes. And even highlighting that gap in employment is the biggest thing, because I'm speaking from the recruiter side. Some recruiters may see that and just turn it off right away and say, hey, okay, there's a gap in employment. But I know, like myself and like all my colleagues here at Capital One, we ask, okay, why? And what additional certifications have you done? What have you been doing during that time? And that's where we most definitely do hop on a call and talk through that. With being in the DC area, we do see the gaps in employment often because people are consulting or taking time off for personal reasons, or I've had some people take time off to travel the world. I want to do that one day. I wish, but no, but yeah, I love that you're being completely transparent with it. Yes, we've all applied a few times and got that no, but it just takes one person to say yes. And then also just picking up the phone and just humanizing it and saying, hey, can we just talk through this? And I think that's the biggest thing at all levels, from entry level all the way up to director plus.
I recommend you own the story. You own your story and tell it, because during that 7 years, I had to experience and I had to do some things that it is a valuable experience that I can carry today. I had to make life and death decisions during that time. And when I look at any decisions I make right now, I say, hey, it is peace. You know, Meincke knows me. I said, what's the harm? You make a mistake. Okay. It is not the end of the world. So, but that 7 years taught me that. So for personal reasons, I took that. And because of the story, because of the experiences, the exposure I had during that time, it transferred into today who I am and how I work. So those experiences are valuable. You have to own it and you have to share it and you have to own your brand. This is our brand. This is who we are. And I think we should be able to tell it. It is part of our story.
Yeah, definitely able to tell your story. And as one of my best mentors ever told me, own your elevator pitch. Be able to tell your elevator pitch, own it, and go from there. And then also keep in mind, it's a marathon, not a race. So.
That's a good summary.
Yes. I always have to remind myself that. As we are starting to wrap up, we're getting great feedback in the chat, so I just want to thank the panel. This has been an engaging conversation. I really do appreciate it. Any closing words anyone wants to add?
Thank you for the opportunity. I love the event. I love the panel, and I think the questions. I have to applaud you, Cassandra. It has been very nice conversation.
Thank you.
I hope I do.
No, you all have very engaging conversation. Like one of the best ones I've done.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and great job, Meincke, knocking it out of the park for your first one. I'll be tapping you on the shoulder for some more.
Yes.
And definitely, great job.
Thank you so much. I would love that. This experience has been so fun. It's so exciting to meet all of you. I've learned personally, even though I'm a panelist, I've learned so much from your stories that you've shared today. So thank you so much,
guys. It's been very inspiring, Zeynep, to hear all your stories, and thank you so much, Cassandra, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Thank you, Cassandra, and everyone else on the panel. I'm hoping that we maybe convinced a few people that Capital One is the best place to work.
Yes. I definitely hope so. It's been great. We're just getting kudos in the chat session. So like I said, I just want to thank everyone for participating in the panel. Number one, I know sometimes answering the questions can be a bit challenging, but I do appreciate the authentic conversation, and it just really flowed well, and I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. But that's all that I have for now, and I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. It's very hot here in the DC area, so it's it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, same here. I'm melting.
Hey everyone, thank you so much. That was an awesome. Appreciate it. Hi everyone, my name is Sapphire. Yeah, I'm so inspired by your panel. I took a lot away from it myself, and I'm sure a lot of our audience here has. Thank you. I took a lot of quotes to always remind myself of now, but I was really inspired by you all. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions for Capital One, their expo is going to be open. Our closing keynote doesn't until 3:30. So if everyone would like to head. So where would be the best place for our audience to, sorry, I think my Wi-Fi, is it?
You're breaking up a little bit, Sapphire.
Oh, sorry, bad Wi-Fi up here. But yeah, so yeah, if anyone has any questions, just ask Capital One their expo, or if anyone wants to even ask any questions in this chat, we have time. Where would be the best way for people to contact you after the conference?
I can provide my my LinkedIn contact information. I think it's in my profile, but I'll most definitely provide it again. But yeah, I can provide my LinkedIn contact info here.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yep, my LinkedIn profile is also in my profile. So if anyone feel free to chat me or anything for any additional questions that you may have.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.